Of course, I wouldn't want Donald Trump round for dinner, but don't underestimate the danger to the world if Trump is re-elected this time around.
Starmer has made some questionable decisions, to say the least. He's been critical of me. He's been critical of many things that matter to the future of both the UK and the US.
Keir Starmer once called Donald Trump a dangerous clown. Now he's eating those words with a side of humble pie. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. In a live TV showdown that nobody saw coming, Trump turned the tables on Starmer, exposing flip-flops and inconsistencies that left the Labour leader visibly shaken. It's a political drama that's sending shockwaves through Westminster and beyond. But what does this mean for Starmer's leadership, and could it reshape the future of UK politics? The unexpected face-off between Donald Trump and Keir Starmer on live television has sent shockwaves through the political world. How did these two titans of their respective national stages end up in this high-stakes showdown?
Trump has seen fit not to invite Sir Keir Starmer, no doubt because of his views on Donald Trump.
The backstory reveals a complex web of contrasting approaches, past criticisms, and attempts at reconciliation. Starmer's political journey has been marked by a stark contrast to Trump's brash style. While Trump built his brand on being the ultimate outsider, Starmer has long been a part of the British political establishment. His approach to immigration, for instance, couldn't be more different from Trump's hardline stance.
And I will send troops to the southern border to repel the disastrous invasion of our country.
Starmer has consistently advocated for a more welcoming approach, emphasizing humanitarian efforts and pushing to ease restrictions. This ideological chasm sets the stage for a potentially explosive confrontation. But it's not just policy differences that fuel the tension between these two political heavyweights. Starmer's past criticisms of Trump have left a bitter taste in the former president's mouth. Trump, known for his long memory when it comes to perceived slights, is unlikely to have forgotten Starmer's sharp words.
Of course, I wouldn't want Donald Trump round for dinner, but don't underestimate the danger to the world if Trump is re-elected this time around.
This history of personal attacks adds a layer of complexity to their relationship, making any attempt at cordial discourse an uphill battle. Interestingly, recent months have seen Starmer attempting to soften his stance on Trump. This shift in tone raises eyebrows and questions about Starmer's consistency. Is this a genuine change of heart or a calculated political move? Critics argue that this apparent flip-flop undermines Starmer's credibility and calls into question his ability to maintain a consistent foreign policy. Trump, for his part, has never been one to shy away from confrontation. His tendency to publicly challenge political opponents is well documented.
Years. Step forward the real Keir Starmer. Difficult to know, really, isn't it? Although my suspicion is that the earlier version is probably closer to the truth than the last bit.
Starmer seems to be his latest target. Trump's history of holding grudges suggests that he's been waiting for the right moment to strike back at Starmer's past criticisms. As the two prepare to face off, the political world holds its breath. The clash between Trump's unfiltered American bravado and Starmer's more measured British approach promises to be a spectacle of epic proportions. Will Starmer's recent attempts to mend fences be enough to withstand Trump's onslaught? Or will Trump's trademark brutal takedowns leave the Labour leader reeling?
And then deporting them. And the problem for Keir Starmer is it's all very well doing the warm words now, congratulating Donald Trump now.
As the cameras start rolling, the atmosphere in the studio crackles with tension. Trump's eyes narrow, his posture changes, and suddenly, the air is thick with anticipation. What follows is a masterclass in political savagery that leaves Starmer visibly shaken, exposing the raw underbelly of international politics.
Why didn't you invite Keir Starmer to the inauguration? Well, let me tell you, it's simple. When you're a leader, you've got to have respect and you've got to stand up for I'm right.
The initial moments of the TV encounter set the stage for a clash of titans. Trump, known for his unfiltered approach, wastes no time in launching a scathing critique of Starmer's policies.
Idiot, because listen, Keir Starmer and half of the cabinet voted against President Trump's state visit last time round.
The former president's body language exudes confidence, while Starmer's slightly stiffened posture betrays a hint of apprehension. Trump's opening salvo focuses on immigration, a topic that has long been his political bread and butter. He aggressively questions Starmer's stance, highlighting what he perceives as glaring inconsistencies.
As he said, simply put, he's going to put America first. Contrast that against Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves' policy, what we saw in the budget.
You talk about welcoming immigrants, but what about the safety of your own citizens? Trump challenges, his voice rising with each word. Starmer, caught off guard by the intensity of the attack, struggles to formulate a coherent response. As Starmer attempts to defend his position, emphasizing the importance of humanitarian efforts, Trump interrupts with a barrage of statistics. He points out the increase in migrant arrivals under Starmer's leadership, contrasting it sharply with his own administration's focus on strict border control and deportation of undocumented immigrants. The labor leader's discomfort becomes increasingly apparent as he tries to reconcile his current diplomatic approach with his past criticisms of Trump. The former president, sensing blood in the water, escalates the confrontation. "You called me a global threat," Trump declares, his voice dripping with disdain. "Now you want to play nice? The British people deserve better than your flip-flopping."
Well, I love the people of the UK. I mean, I've loved them. They show great support for me.
Starmer's attempts to steer the conversation towards common ground fall flat as Trump continues his relentless offensive. The contrast between Trump's America First agenda and Starmer's more open immigration policy becomes starkly evident, leaving the labor leader struggling to articulate a coherent middle ground. As the exchange reaches its climax, it becomes clear that Trump's aggressive stance is more than just political theater. His brutal takedown of Starmer serves a dual purpose, reasserting his own hardline policies while exposing what he sees as the hypocrisy of his opponent. The former president's strategy appears to be working, as Starmer's composure visibly crumbles under the onslaught.
The economy is such a big one here because Donald Trump is facing in completely the opposite direction when it comes to the tone he's going to be setting.
As the dust settles on this explosive confrontation, the political landscape trembles with uncertainty. Starmer's attempts to navigate a more diplomatic approach with Trump may have backfired spectacularly, potentially weakening his position both at home and abroad. Analysts suggest that Starmer's past criticisms of Trump could haunt future diplomatic efforts, given the former US president's notorious penchant for holding grudges.
That we now may be in a technical recession as a result of the budget because businesses are worried about setting up.
The clash raises serious questions about the future of UK-US relations. Can Starmer salvage any credibility after this brutal takedown? Or has Trump's relentless attack permanently damaged the labor leader's standing on the international stage?
Starmer has made some questionable decisions, to say the least. He's been critical of me. He's been critical of many things that matter to the future of both the UK and the US.
More importantly, how will this affect Britain's ability to negotiate with a potential future Trump administration? In an ever-shifting global environment, one must wonder, is political consistency a virtue or a liability? As leaders grapple with changing realities, perhaps the real challenge lies in balancing principles with pragmatism, a tightrope walk that Starmer seems to have stumbled on, much to Trump's apparent delight.